Supreme Lord Shri Radha Krishna.
Page 16, bhajan number 25. Radhe Radhe, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Whether we say Radha or Krishna, they are one and the same. We just heard the beautiful dance. Without Radha, there is no Krishna. In effect, Radha and Krishna are one in one too. The Vedas tell us, Yeyam Radha Yasha Krishna Rasad Dehas Chaitah Kridanantar Vidha Bhut Atharva Vedi Radhika Tapani Upanishad. The Vedas say there is no question of Radha and Shri Krishna being two. They don't even have two bodies. Though Sharir bhi nahi. There's only one Supreme Brahm, one Supreme Power. And that Supreme Brahm takes two forms for Krida, Leela, divine pastimes. The scriptures again say, Radhika Krishna Rupam Cha Krishna Radha Swarupaka. Sanat Kumar Samhita. The Radha Rani is the form of Shri Krishna and Shri Krishna is the form of Radha Rani. They are one and the same. So whether we chant Radhe Radhe or we chant Govinda Govind, Krishna Krishna, it is referred to the same personality, the same entity. Don't see difference, they are one and the same. Gao Chinna Chinna Nama Radhe, Dhyao Chinna Chinna Rup. Chant the name, divine name of the Lord every moment. Meditate on His divine form, divine form. That Supreme Lord is my destiny, my shelter. O Radharani, Shri Krishna, I cannot leave you for anything, anyone. Briefly, we'll chant this beautiful bhajan written by Jagadguru Shri Kripalu Mahaprabhu. Radhe Radhe, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Oh, Lord, Chinna Chinna Nam Let's be very attentive and listen very carefully. My speech tonight will not be very long, but it's very important. In Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Nahi kashchit kshanamapi jagdishtatya karma krit. Chapter 3, verse 5, Gita. That is, no one can remain inactive even for a moment. So we continuously perform an action every moment. Why? We are searching for something. Every action we perform in the world, no matter how opposite or contradictory it may seem to be, is all for one thing only: happiness, sukh, anand, bliss. The reason being that we are part, we are a fraction of happiness. We are a fraction, ansh. Shri Krishna says in Gita, Mamaivansho jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Chapter 15, verse 7, Gita. The Jivatma, the individual soul, are eternal parts, fraction of Shri Krishna, God. And it's a natural law that every part, every fraction has a natural love for the whole and wants to become one with it. All rivers naturally flow to the ocean, being a fraction of the ocean. If you look at the flame of a fire, it naturally rises upwards, being a fraction of the sun. In the same way, we, Jivatma, body belongs to us. We're not body. This body is a material thing. It's made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash. Material. We are the soul, Atma, Jivatma. And that soul is an eternal part, fraction of God, Shri Krishna. And that's why we love and want only Shri Krishna. And who is Shri Krishna? What is Shri Krishna? The Vedas say, Raso vai sahara sakvam hevayam latva nandi bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 2, verse 7. The Vedas say, Shri Krishna, God, is Anand, the bliss, Ras, happiness, Sukh. So because we are eternal parts, fractions of Shri Krishna, it means we love and want only Shri Krishna, we the Jivatma, soul. And because Shri Krishna is happiness, Anand, Sukh, that's why we all want only happiness. We have been searching and looking for happiness from beginningless time. Jivatma, the individual soul, is eternal. Gyagya vaja vishanisha vaja heka dhokti bhogyata yukta anantaschatma vishwarupo yakarta tayam yada vindate brahma metat. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, chapter 1, verse 9. The Vedas are saying, just as God, the supreme power, supreme law is Aj. Aj means unborn, eternal beginningless. The Jivatma, the individual soul, is also Aj, unborn, eternal beginningless. Never had a beginning, will never have an end. So from beginningless time, we have been searching for Sukh, happiness, Anand. But we have not attained even the tiniest drop of true happiness even once, even a dream. The great Saint Tulsidas says, Soi sukha lavaresh, barik jin sapane ulai, te nahi ghan hi bhagesh, brahma sukari sajjana sumati. If we were to taste the tiniest drop, lavalesh means the tiniest drop of true happiness, even once, even a dream, then we'll be sure to forget the bliss, even of the formless absolute Brahman, what to speak of the mundane pleasures of this world. It means there is no happiness. We have experienced every happiness in this world. Look, if something or someone were to give happiness, it should give happiness to everyone alike. Everyone should find happiness. The alcoholic finds happiness in rum, alcohol. And Panditji will get angry if you bring a bottle of rum in front of him. There are people who will vomit if they try to eat chocolate, and there are people who love chocolate. The moment they see chocolate, water will start coming from the mouth. There are people who cannot do without smoking cigarette, chain smoker, and there are those who will want to die if they smell a cigarette smoke. So if there's happiness in any person or object in the world, it should give happiness to everyone alike. Why doesn't everyone find happiness in alcohol, cigarette, chocolate? One person is given happiness to someone, and the same person, another person hates that person and wishes they would die. So there's no such thing in this world that gives happiness to everyone alike. Secondly, somebody may say, everyone gets happiness in drinking water, cool water. It's a hot summer day, like in December, hot summer day. Someone brings a nice cold glass of water for you. You drank that glass of water, so much happiness. The second glass, again happiness, but less. Third glass of water, fifth glass of water, please don't give me any more water. If there's happiness in water, keep drinking. No, I'm going to die. Some people say they get happiness in eating sweet things, chocolate, ice cream, cake. When you eat the first ice cream, most happiness. Second ice cream, less. Third ice cream, even less. Fifth ice cream, now no more happiness. Sixth ice cream, oh no, please don't give me any more ice cream. I'm going to vomit. So in the course of that that happiness comes to an end, and we start experiencing sorrow from the same thing. So where is the happiness? There is no happiness to be found in any person or object in the world, yet we keep looking. Why? Because of ignorance, we've forgotten who we are. From beginningless time, we have forgotten that I am the soul, Atma, Jivatma, an eternal part, fraction of God. From beginningless time, I have been identified with the physical body, with this material body. And because I have made a firm decision in my mind that I am the body, I have always been looking for happiness in the material world. Look, there's a definition for the word happiness. Sukh. Anand. Yove bhumata sukham, bhumayva sukham, Chandogya Upanishad. The Vedas say that which is infinite, immeasurable, eternal, beginningless is called sukh, happiness. Once a day, it is possessed forever. You will never become separate from it ever again. You will never experience sorrow ever again. Have we attained such a thing? No. Then we have never experienced true happiness. He said mostly that same thing that we think is going to give us happiness, that same person, that same object ends up giving us pain and suffering. So there's no happiness to be found in any person or object in the world. But we have heard about a place called Swarga, heaven. And that we can find happiness in heaven. Majority of people who call ourselves Hindus, Sanatanis, have no idea what this place called heaven is or what happens there. Because everyone wants to go to heaven. Everyone. A very systematic evaluation. There are many heavenly regions, many. And a very systematic evaluation of the happiness found in the various heavenly regions is given in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Saisha nandasya mimansa bhavati yuvasya sadhu yuvadhyayaka ashishto dadhishto balishto tasyam prithvi sarva vitasya purnasya sa eko manusha ananda deshatam manusha ananda sa eko manusha gandharvanam ananda deshatam manusha gandharvanam ananda sa eko deva gandharvanam ananda deshatam deva gandharvanam ananda sa ekah pitrinam chiraloka lokanam ananda deshatam pitrinam chiraloka lokanam ananda sa eka ajana janam devanam ananda deshatam ajana janam devanam ananda sa ekah karma devanam devanam ananda deshatam karma devanam devanam ananda sa eko devanam ananda deshatam devanam ananda sa eka indasya ananda deshatam indasya ananda sa eko brihaspati ananda deshatam brihaspati ananda sa ekah prajapati ananda deshatam prajapati ananda sa eko brahman ananda. Taittiriya Upanishad chapter 2 verse 8. What does this Vedic mantra say? Listen carefully. This Vedic mantra says, suppose there's a young man in the prime of his youth, most knowledgeable, most strongly built, most energetic, most virtuous, most beautiful. In Hindi, there's a word, every time you put the suffix "wan" after a word, it means most. Dhanavan, very rich. Balavan, most powerful, etc. So all the one you know, Anand. All the one you can think of. Now suppose the rule of the entire world, filled with all the luxury, all the wealth, was to be given to that young man, plus all the subjects are favorable to him. They love him to that. Long ago, almost every country had a king. There were kings. Nowadays, hardly any country has any king. places, but they don't have much power. In ancient times, there used to be king like Ambarish, Dhruv, Prahlad. They ruled the entire universe, one king, for millions and millions of years. Prahlad ruled the whole world for one Manvantara, 306,720,000 years. Anyhow, it's different time. We don't have kings anymore, prime minister, president. But not everyone is favorable. Not everyone loves them. How many people want to kill them and get rid of them? So, he is the king of the whole world. Remember, everything is one. Most beautiful, most handsome, most strong, most energetic, most everything. And all the wealth and luxury is given to him and everyone loves him. Such a king would be, such a person would be considered to be the happiest man in the whole world. Now, the happiness of such a king, multiplied hundreds of times, is equal to the happiness of one Manav Gandharva. Manav Gandharva. Gandharva, these are heavenly beings that sing, dance, etc. We just saw dancing. But nothing can compare to Gandharva, the heavenly dancers or the heavenly singers. So one Manav Gandharva. The happiness of one Manav Gandharva multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of one Dev Gandharva, a little bit higher. The happiness of one Dev Gandharva multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of one of the Pitris. There's an abode called Pitri Lok, where the ancestors reside, the Pitris. The happiness of one of the Pitris multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of one Ajana Chadev, one who is born in heaven as a Devata, celestial being. The happiness of one Ajana Chadev multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of one Karmadev. The happiness of one Karmadev multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of one Devata, celestial God, celestial being. Agni, the god of fire, Vayu, the god of wind, Kuber, the god of wealth, one Devata. The happiness of one Devata multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of Indra, the king of heaven, Raja. The happiness of Indra multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of Brihaspati, the Guru, the preceptor of the Devatas. The happiness of Brihaspati multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of Prajapati, and the happiness of Prajapati multiplied hundreds of times is equal to the happiness of Brahma, the Creator. That's the highest heavenly region, also called Satyalok, Brahma, the abode of Brahma, the Creator. But there is no happiness even in the abode of Brahma, Lok. This Veda mantra is telling us to multiply hundreds of times, multiply. We just discussed that there is no happiness to be found in any person or object in the world. Zero. Now multiply 0 by 100. What do you get? 0. 0 multiplied by 1,000. 0. 0 multiplied by a million. 0. 0 multiplied by a trillion. 0. 0 multiplied by a trillion. 0. No matter how many times you multiply, 0. In other words, there is no true happiness to be found in heaven, Swargas. It is more than we get in this material world. There was no old age, no physical sickness, no COVID. No, they do not suffer from hunger, from thirst. They don't get thirsty. Their bodies are untouched by dirt. They don't perspire. They don't have to take bath, etc., etc. But so no physical ailment, but all manasic, all diseases of the mind is still there in heaven. Greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, lust, just like it. Everything just like it. The Devatas also get angry. They also have lust. You heard so many kathas about Indra, the king of heaven, what he did. So many apsaras in heaven. He came, disguised himself as a rishi, and took the chastity of the wife. Dirty material being in the body. This is the condition of Indra, the king of heaven. So there's no true happiness there. Shri Krishna says in Gita, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Puna Bharti Rojana Mam Vijit Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Chapter 8, verse 16, Gita. All these heavenly regions, Bhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapaha, Satya. Up to Satyalo, Brahmano, Brahma, they are all destructive. There's a time limit. And only upon attaining God, Sri Krishna, one does not come back in this material world. We need to understand, look, we have been to heaven uncountable times. Jivatma, the individual soul, is beginningless, eternal. Uncountable time we got to human birth. The soul keeps rotating in 8.4 million forms of life. Agar chari lakh chaurasi yoni brahmat yah jeev avinashi. Bhagwan Shri Ram said to residents of Ayodhya, the Jivatma, the individual soul, who we are, is indestructible, eternal, beginningless. But it keeps rotating, Brahmatan. It keeps rotating in 8.4 million forms of life. Dog, cat, donkey, worm, grass, tree, human being, devata. Where we perform dharma, etc., we acquire something called punya. Spiritual merits. Yagna, dharma, varnashram, dharma. In Kali, impossible. Karthasundji says to Guruji, Ehi Kali Kal na sadhan duja, yoga na japa tapa vrata makha puja. These things you can't do in Kali, yoga, japa, tapasya, austerities, makha, yagna, etc. Kali Yuga Yoga na Jagya Jnana Ek Aadhar Ram Gunagana. In the Kali Yuga, one cannot do yoga, one cannot do jnana, one cannot do yajna dharma. What to do? Ek Aadhar Ram Gunagana. Chant the name of the Lord. This is Kali Yuga. Bhagavan Krishna says to Uddhav Bhagavad Mahapuran, Uddho Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, Dharma sampadhyate shadbhi radharmastu viparyaya. 11th canto, 21st chapter, 15th verse, Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. Bhagavan Krishna says to Uddho, there are 6 conditions. Shadbhi, 6 conditions to fulfill in order to do dharma, yajna, etc. And all impossible in Kali. The sthan, place, kal, time, dravya, wealth, the money used in the yajna, dharma, karta, the person performing the yajna, mantra, pronunciation of the mantra, vidhi, the rules governing, impossible in Kali. Can't do. Shuklam yad dravyam tasmat yagyamiritam. That dravya, that body has to be pure. Can't go in detail, I'll be given a time limit. Some other time I'll go in detail, you understand. Anyhow, let's understand, impossible in Kali. And if someone can do, if you can fulfill the 6th condition, we acquire something called punya, spiritual merit, which will determine which heaven we will go to and for how long. I told you, there are many heavenly regions. Which one will go and for how long? Many people, we pray to devatas, celestial beings. There's a big difference between devata and Bhagavan. Bhagavan means divine, supreme, beyond this material world. Whether you call him Ram, Krishna, Shiva, Durga, Lakshmi, Radha, Bhagavan. Devata, those who reside in heaven. That place that I'm speaking about. I mentioned some of their names, so we pray to devatas. Indraya Namaha Swaha, Agnayi Namaha Swaha, Vayave Namaha Swaha. Why? Because we want to go to heaven. Shri Krishna says in Gita, Yanti Devatan Devan Pitti Yanti Pittipata Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Mandyaji Nopima. Chapter 9 verse 25 Gita. Those who worship devatas, celestial beings, they will go to heaven, they will become devatas. If you can fulfill the condition. Those who worship the Pitris, the ancestors, will go to the abode of the Pitris, the ancestors. Those who worship Bhut and Pret, ghosts and spirits, will become Bhut and Pret, ghosts and spirits. And those who worship Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, will go to Bhagavan. Very clear in Gita, chapter 9, verse 25. So people worship devatas. But those same devatas, they are begging God for what? This thing we have called human body. Very strange. Durlabham manusham janma prarthate tirashailapi narapura. The devatas are praying to Shri Krishna. Hey Shri Krishna, we are begging you, please give us birth in the human form. We don't want heaven, there's nothing here. Bhagavan Shri Ram himself says in the Ramayana to the residents of Ayodhya, Bade bhagya manushya tanu pava sura durlabh sadgrantha nigava. Bhagavan Shri Ram is saying to the residents of Ayodhya, it is the greatest fortune, very bad, for the soul to get birth in the human form. Devtas, Sur means Devta. They are begging and praying for it and they can't get this human birth. It means this is better. We don't understand the value of this thing called a human body. Because only in this we can attain true happiness. Only in the human body we can attain Bhagavan. We can do bhakti. Devtas cannot do. So as I was saying, if we can somehow do dharma, we acquire punya, spiritual merits. And Sri Krishna says in Gita, Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam vishanti evam tai dharma panna katakatam kam kama bhante. Chapter 9, verse 21, Gita. When we perform dharma, if we can fulfill all the rules, impossible in Kali, but if we can, we acquire punya, spiritual merit, which will determine which heaven we go to and for how long. Once we go there and start enjoying the pleasures of heaven, something happens. What happens? Kshine punya. That punya starts destroying. The moment you start enjoying the heavenly pleasures, the punya, which is so difficult to do, impossible in Kali, it starts destroying. And one day, it was going to become zero, finish. And then what will happen? Martyalokam vishanti, will be kicked out of heaven. Karmas become zero, get out. And we'll think, okay, I have been to heaven, I had a good time. Continuous party. Now I'll do some more karma and I'll go again. Remember, karma has become zero, punya has become zero. We have nothing to come back to this human birth. The Vedas tell us, avidyayam antare vartamana swayam dhira panditam manyamana jambhanyamana pariyanti mudha andhe nepanyamana yathandha. Mundak Upanishad, first Mundak, second Kan, 8th mantra. Ishta bhutam manyamana varishtham najachreyo vedayate pramudha nakasya prishtete sukritena bhutimam lokam hidram vagishanti. Mundak Upanishad, first Mundak, second Kan, 10th mantra. The Vedas say, the person who wants to go to heaven and performs action that he can go to heaven is not only an ordinary fool, but the greatest fool, Pramudha. The word Murg in Sanskrit, in Hindi, Murg, fool. And in Sanskrit, when the prefix pra is put before a word, it means the greatest, Pramudha, the greatest. Why? Because number one, there is no true happiness there. And number two, you're going to suffer. After going to heaven, you're going to suffer. Bhagavan Sri Ram himself says to the residents of Ayodhya, he says, Ehi tar kar phal vishayan bhai swarga swarg ant dukhdai. My children, my subjects, listen to me carefully. This human body which even Devatas are begging and praying for was not given to you just to enjoy the senses. Vishayana bhai. Nor was it given to go to heaven. Swarg. Why? Swarg. Swarg. Swarg means non-existent. There is no true happiness in heaven. It's only of this material world, Madhukara number of times suffer afterwards. After going to heaven, you're going to suffer. Dukha milega. How many people read Ramayana? People know Ramayana by heart. They can tell you every kanda and which chaupai, some people can tell everything. But do we understand what is in Ramayana? That Bhagavan is saying this human body is not given to you to go to heaven yet. You're talking about heaven and do this, then you will go to heaven, and you want to go to heaven. In other words, blind leading the blind. The Ved mantra I just told you. First Mundak, second one, eighth mantra. The Vedas say, Andhe Naivaniyamana Yatantha. People who have that belief, not understanding the true import of the scriptures, and thinking that the scriptures are teaching us to go to heaven, etc. They are fools, they are blind. And those who believe in them and follow them is a case of blind leading the blind. Veda said, not me. There's nothing there. So why is he warning us? So the next mantra tells us, Bhagavan says, Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, once your punya is finished, in heaven you have to come back in this material world, you will be kicked out from heaven. And the Vedas are saying, first Mundak, second and 10th mantra, Hina Taratma Vishanti, Hina Yoni Patakta. Because karma has become zero, we are going to be thrown into lower forms of life. We have to start all over again. The soul, Jivatma, will be thrown into the body of dog, cat, donkey, worm. You have just been enjoying in heaven as a Devta, celestial God. And next moment, that same soul is in the body of a worm, a stray dog. Can you imagine the suffering? This is what Bhagavan Shri Ram means in the Ramayana when he says it ends in suffering. This is why I'm asking how many people understand what is in the Ramayana. Bhagavan, he gave a lecture. When he descended in the age of Treta Yuga as Bhagavan Shri Ram, he stayed 11,000 years. During that time, once he called everyone in Ayodhya, Ek baar Raghunath bulaye, Guru Dvij Purvasi sab aaye. He called everyone in Ayodhya once only, and he gave a lecture. And these are some of the things he said in that lecture. How many of us read? How many of us understand what was said? How many of us accept what he said? He's telling us what to do. He never said, go to heaven, you will get happiness. As I told you in the beginning, we all want only one thing, happiness. Sukh, Anand, being a fraction of happiness. Shri Krishna. And how are we going to find it? Bhagavan Shri Ram tells us in that same lecture. He says, Jao paralok yaha sukha chahu, suni mama vachana hridaya dridha gahu. And if you want to get happiness here, yaha, here, right here. And after you leave here, Paralok, then listen to what I'm going to tell you very carefully, deep in your heart. Suni mama vachana hridaya dridhata, sarala sukhad yahamar bhai. The path to attaining happiness here and hereafter. It's very easy. Saral hai, saral. Asukha. It gives happiness at every step. What is the path? Sarva sukhad yahamar bhai bhakti with God. This is the only path which will give us happiness here and after we leave here also. No yoga, no yajna, no gyan, no dharma, nothing else is going to give it. Only bhakti. Only bhakti. So we have been to heaven uncountable times. This place called heaven, calling ourselves Hindus, Sanatanis, we should at least know our religion, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, etc. But not Buddhism, but Islam, Christianity. Many religions, they give heaven as a final reward for the performance of good action, etc. What is so amazing that we who call ourselves Hindus, Sanatanis, we have no idea about this place called heaven or what happens there. The Vedas are telling us the person who wants to go there is not only an ordinary fool but the greatest fool. Many people, when you're near there once have died, we like to think they have gone to heaven. So people make a beautiful card and they send to the relative and friend. हमारी मम्मी को स्वर्गवास हो गए, हमारे पिताजी को स्वर्गवास हो गए. My mommy has gone to heaven, my father has gone to heaven. In other words, my mommy and papa was a great fool, the greatest fool. That's what we're saying. Because we don't understand, we don't know. Don't just call yourself a Hindu because you're born in a certain law. Understand what is Dharma is teaching us. What is Sanatana Dharma? We have so many scriptures. Some religion only one. Sanatana Dharma, thousands and thousands. And they don't have to read all. This Gita, this little Gita, 700 verses. Not a big book. Everything is there. You see, you can't understand Gita, Raman. And still we don't understand. Many people, I said, have read the whole Gita, whole Ramayana. Do we get knowledge by reading Gita, reading Ramayana? No. How do you get knowledge? Guru bin hoi ki gyan. Sadhu sadhu. Binu sat sang vivek na hoi, Ram kripa binu sulabh na soi. In the very beginning of Ramayana, Balka, Tulsidas Ji has written this beautiful chaupai. Very beginning. A lot of people know it by heart, but do we understand what it means? Do we know what satsang means? Sat, the sun, is called sandhi when you join two words in Hindi and Sanskrit. Sat means sun, saint. Two meanings of Sat. Sat, Chit, Anand. These are three names of Bhagavan in the scriptures, God. So one meaning of Sat is Bhagavan. Another meaning of Sat, one who has attained Bhagavan, a saint, God realized. And Sam means association. Tulsidas Ji Maharaj is saying, only when we associate with a true saint, a true sadhu santa. Satya sam, sadhu sam means same meaning. When we associate with one who has attained God, then only we will acquire true knowledge. And how we going to get that Satya sam? When Bhagavan will shower His grace. It's not going to happen just like that. We don't get sadhu sam just like that. Bhagavan Shri Ram says in the Ramayana, Punya punja binu milahina santa sat sangati samshriti karananta bhakti swatantra sakala sukha khani binu sat sang na pavahi prani. Bhagwan Shri Ram himself is saying to residents of Ayodhya, the path of bhakti, divine love, that thing called bhakti, it is free, independent. Bhakti doesn't require any other help from any path, no gyan, no yoga, no karma. Every other path requires the help of bhakti. Bhakti doesn't require anybody's help. It's the storehouse of all happiness. But how are we going to get bhakti? Binu Sattasang, without association of one who has attained that bhakti himself, we cannot get it. And how are we going to get it? That association? Punya, punja binu milahina santa. Punya means spiritual merit. Punja means a huge big storehouse. One have done great devotion in many lifetimes, and it has accumulated in a big, huge amount. Bhagwan showers His grace, and we are able to meet the saint. Punya punja binu milahina santa. And only when we associate with the true saint, Sattasang Gati Sat Shritti Karananta, the true knowledge of God. The knowledge of who am I am not the body, I am the soul. Atma. We read this. People read Gita every day. How many have that knowledge of accepted I am soul, Atma? Give somebody a big slap. He is boasting and talking about Gita, and he can quote so many verses of Gita and give him a slap. How can you slap me? But Bhaiya, you are just saying you are not body, you are soul, Atma. Where's the knowledge? Someone has died and you are crying. You want to die also. And you are Gita Jnani, you know the whole Gita. What do you know? Nainam chinnati shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam nene yantyapu, na shoshayati bharuka. Chapter 9, verse 20, chapter 2, verse 23, Gita. The soul is indestructible, eternal, never takes birth, never dies. It cannot be plucked by any weapon. It cannot be burned by fire. It cannot be wet by water nor dried by the wind. It is the same forever. What are you crying for? Body? Bhagwan Shri Ram said to Tara, when Bali was killed and Tara was weeping and wailing in bitter lamentation, Bhagwan Shri Ram looked at Tara and said, "Hey Tara, why are you crying? Pragata sutanu tava aage sova, jiva nitya kehi lagi tumarova." If you're crying for the dead body of your husband, it's lying here right in front of you. On the other hand, if you're crying for the soul, Atma, that has left the body, then your crying is in vain, because the soul is eternal, immortal, deathless, cannot be destroyed. That knowledge has to sit. It's useless to know all the Chaupai, all the Gita, and everything, and nothing is it. You have no realization. You have not accepted. Knowledge means to accept. I can only claim that I know when I accept. I have realized, otherwise in just words, we can quote. I can be sitting here quote all the Veda mantras, all the whole Gita. So many Chaupai, Doha, but no realization. What's the use? Just to show how knowledgeable I am, that I can quote without any book. What's the use? So practically. This is very important. I told you my lecture wouldn't be very long, but it's very important. We all are looking for one thing only, Sukh, Anand, happiness. Being a fraction of that eternal happiness, Happiness is another name for Sri Krishna, for God. The Vedas say, Anando Brahmeti Gajana, Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 3, verse 6. That God is Anand, bliss, happiness. And that's why we all want only happiness. But we have been looking for it in the wrong place. From beginningless time, because of ignorance, because of not knowing who we are, having forgotten that we are the soul Atma, identified with the physical body, we have been searching in the material world and heaven also. Which today I prove to you, there is no happiness there. The only place, the only way we will find happiness is when we attain Bhagavan, when we attain Sri Krishna, because Sri Krishna is happiness. Sukh, Anand. How are we going to attain Sri Krishna? How are we going to attain that happiness? Only one thing, and that is bhakti, the path of love. Bhakti means love. Pray. Ram hi keval prema pyara. One thing alone he cares about, how much prema, how much love we have. He doesn't look to see how much knowledge in this fella. Oh, he knows so many Ved mantras, he can quote Gita, he can quote Ramayana, oh, he's so handsome, he's so rich. No. Which lineage he's from, what family? No. ये सब नहीं देखते, doesn't look at all of that. कितना प्रेम, प्यार, how much love we have. We know the Katha of Shabari. What does Shabari have? How much knowledge, which jati, which lineage does she belong to? Nothing. All she had was praying, love, faith, that Bhagwan came and eat her juta. Vidurani, what did she know? What mantra, what Ved mantra? That she gave Bhagwan in her love, she gave him the chilka, the banana peel, and Bhagwan ate it. And he said to Vidur, when Vidur gave saag, Vidur said to Kanhaiya, how is the saag? Very nice, Vidur. Very nice. But the sweetness I was getting in the chilka, Vidur had taken that banana peel and threw it away. The sweetness I was getting in the banana peel, I can't get it in the saag. You have eaten banana, right? Banana. Have you eaten the peel? Huh? Try it, see how sweet it is. So what is Bhagwan lying to us? No, because he's eaten the love of Vidurani. He's eaten the love of Shiva. This is what he wants. Pray, love. That's all he wants. That is called bhakti. So we'll finish. I don't want to go too much. I was told, please keep it in an hour. We'll chant the divine name. I told you chanting is most important. So we'll chant the name of Bhagwan for a few minutes and then I'll finish. Want all of us to chant. Try to think about Bhagwan, meditate on Bhagwan. This is called Radha Krishna Mandir. We have beautiful murti of Bhagwan Sri Radha Krishna. Meditate on Bhagwan. As we chant the divine name, chant loudly, meditate. Clap